Greetings. My name is Leilani, and I'm going to tell you a bit about my head wrapping journey, or maybe a lot about it. I started wearing head wraps in the summer of 2018 because my hair was thinning diffusely. That is a type of alopecia, androgenic, and it's a natural part of my peri-menopausal experience. About 40% of peri-menopausal folks experience hair thinning. If you want to learn more about this, you can do a Google search under peri-menopausal hair loss. I'm not at this time interested in any cures, drugs, oils, or interventions. Underneath my head wrap, I'm sporting an excellent buzz cut from my local barber, which I love, and I'm a knitter, and so I also love knitted hats. I wanted to try wrapping with scarves and bandannas and wearing wigs, but not appropriatively. For example, I'm not wearing traditional African prints or African head wrapping styles, nor am I wearing Afro or box braids. I totally appreciate the beauty of those. I'm just not going to wear them, just like I'm not going to wear Indian bridal jewelry, even though it's totally gorgeous. I did do some researching about intersectionality and cultural appropriation with regard to hair covering wraps, just like I did for upgauging ear holes. I'll share a little bit of it, but please do your own research if you're interested in that. I think that this thoughtfulness is super important, and I'm especially glad to have done my research because people ask a lot of questions about my head wraps and my wigs. So there's some good web pages about that, and I have the links for all of that saved on my Pinterest under head wraps. So if you search on my name and then go to my Pinterest board, which is linked, my Pinterest board is linked from YouTube. And if you go there to Pinterest, then under head wraps, I've documented all my head wraps in one board. And then in another board, I've documented all these articles about head wrapping, as well as some inspirational head wraps. I think it's super important to support Black, Jewish, and Muslim women-owned businesses, and I try to support their stores and shops for scarves and supplies, like the ones I'm wearing today. And I talk to people about intersections of head wrapping, religions, culture, and history. The Wrap Life has some excellent Instagram feed photos, and they include more gender diversity in wrapping, whereas Rapunzel, which is with a WRAPUNZEL, is very much a women's only space in its Facebook fan group and mostly in its Instagram feed as well. But there are other Facebook groups where folks swap and sell wraps, or some just for Black, Indigenous people of color who wear head wraps, and lots of head wrapping Facebook groups. So it's important to also to learn about the history about how Black women were forced to cover their hair. So it'd be great to do some research about that. I read some articles about that, and I have those linked in my Pinterest board, as well as about some of the different religions that use head wraps as part of expressing themselves and honoring their religion and culture. How to do head wraps? There are so many tutorials on YouTube. If you're interested, I recommend doing a search, and you will see tons of tutorials on head wrapping and wigs. There's some great vendors like The Wrap Life and Rapunzel, and they specifically will have tutorials on head wraps. I have a list of head wrap tutorials. If you look and explore a little bit in my YouTube, I have some head wrapping tutorials where I've saved them under a list where you can go through some of those. Where to buy scarves? I find that there's some at thrift stores that are totally excellent. I actually already had some that I just didn't use for head wrapping. I wore them as scarves, and they work great for head wraps. I find that they need to be, for me, at least like 70 inches to get a really nice wrap. There's the great stores that I mentioned, Rapunzel and The Wrap Life, but then I don't wear patterns or fabrics or styles that are traditionally, culturally, or religiously special to groups of folks. Let's see, Etsy also has some. I got some great scarves there. You can make your own, and I did as well. So I did long rectangles, about 2 to 3 yards long, and then I cut it halfway, so it was like 22 inches wide, and then 2 to 3 yards long, and then I just did a tiny rolled hem on the edge, and zigzag some of the edges depending on the fabric. But none of these are going to stay on my head without a no-slip headband. Rapunzel has some great ones of those. There's also some on Etsy. And then I often wear a shaper, which is what I'm wearing underneath. And then My current shaper is the one I'm wearing right now underneath this scarf, which is called a Cloud 9 shaper. They have a pocket for stuffing, which gives kind of this great shape up here. And you can pull some of the stuffing out to make it bigger or smaller, depending on what you want. Etsy also has no slip headbands and shapers, but I really like the ones from Rapunzel. A shaper fits like a beanie, except it has this fluff to make the shape, and so you can do some great styles. It's also a bit like a giant bun cover, so it works for those of us with no hair or less hair volume. If I had hair, I could put it into like a loose bun or a scrunchie and then just put on a no slip headband and then wrap. But I have no hair, except for the little bit of buzz. And so if I do the velvet headband, then there's no volume, which is fine. That's a great look too. But I do like doing different styles. I kind of think about my shaper like I think about my undergarments that I wear under my clothes. There's some great videos on Rapunzel about the essential tools and undergarments that go under your head wrap. The shaper also works great under knitted hats or slouchy hats, and then it will give extra warmth and extra shape. There's some tutorials on using a scrunchie, or if you have a lot of hair volume, how to do head wraps as well. I've also been playing around with wigs and coloring my hair and fake hair since the 80s, but I wanted to be aware of my privilege and not appropriate. I've been wearing wigs that are colors that I dyed my hair in the past, which is fun: pink, purple, black, brown, red, blue. Now it's salty and gray, and I've been wearing straight, wavy, and curly haired wigs that reflect the perms, buns, lobs, and bobs I've had in the past. Oh, the 80s and the spiral perms. I think it's super important for me to think about all of this, especially with my light skin privilege. In the past, maybe 25 years ago, or even as recent as 15 years ago, I appropriated black hairstyles and wore dread wigs like back in my goth days, and braided styles when I worked at a black hair salon. With my mixed race features and my light skin, I was never called out on that. And I didn't even think about how black women and black children are still being punished and discriminated for the styles that I just thought looked cute on me. I was running around with a full 10-hour braided weave like Kylie Jenner in box braids, and I wasn't thinking about intersectionality. I've read about black kids being sent home for wearing natural styles or having their dreads or braids cut off by teachers and coaches, and all the while there was no negative consequences for me because of how privilege works. I didn't get any backlash, and I was told how great I looked, and black people were being punished because of anti-black racism. And I know better now, and I am doing better, as words inspired by Maya Angelou. It is not enough for me to have let go of those hairstyles long ago that were never mine to begin with. I need to keep learning and listening and working to dismantle the systems that are harming all of us, but especially Black and Indigenous people. I need to lift up their voices and their story and their leadership. So there are some intersections between wig and fake hair and race and colorism, and definitely discrimination towards mixed race folks, especially Black. Okay, and then back to head wrapping. There's a lot of people will comment on head wrapping. Favorite comments are from folks are on my head wraps I like are about my technique. Especially from older women, and we'll talk about where to shop and how to tie them and my favorite tutorials. But I've also found since head wrapping, so many other women cover their hair for all sorts of reasons all over. I love connecting, the nods and the smiles when I'm at the coffee shop, the thrift store, on the street, at businesses. I've literally had women stop me at Costco and insist I teach them on how to tie a head wrap, which is fabulous. So maybe 75% of the time I get positive feedback about my scarf or my beauty or my hairstyle, my ability to tie it on. But sometimes strangers will say things that are not as awesome. They'll ask me if I have cancer. I don't have cancer. I'm pretty sure if I did that I might not want to talk about it with strangers. I'm full of snappy comebacks as a heavily tattooed, gauged ears, fat, bi, queer, femme, disabled, chemically sensitive person, and I've had a lot of practice. So no, I'm not sick. My health isn't your business. People wrap the head and hair all around the world for a variety of reasons, not just to hide Voldemort. Are you asking me to talk about my peri-menopause? Or welcome to my peri-menopause? I like reciting peri-menopausal and head wrapping facts like I'm Hermione in class. I love being in head wrapping communities. I've learned so much about other religions and cultures and the lives of women all around the world. But occasionally what other women experience are people telling them that their wrapping makes them look old, or they have unsupportive family members, or even their spouse has negative commentary. Security and Department of Licensing insisting that they remove it. They experience racist and xenophobic remarks from strangers. Sometimes they'll feel like they're the only person in their town, school, or employment or family who covers. Thankfully, in these head wrapping communities, we are so supportive of each other and hold each other in kindness in these times. I have recently become a representative for Rapunzel, and I'm really excited. It's a nonprofit organization spreading the joy and strength through the art of creative head wrapping. They help women rise above illness and hardship by finding their inner beauty. Their current projects focus on providing head wrapping resources and supplies to women with cancer for no charge who are going through treatment. So do you know of any cancer-related organizations or support events that you would like me to come and offer head wrapping demos? Please let me know. Would you like to learn how to head wrap and you live nearby or local to me? Please hit me up and private message me on Facebook. You can donate. It's called the RapunzelFoundation.org. So that's WRAPUNZEL Foundation.org. And you can donate to help have supplies for folks. And then there's all that head wrapping community. There's some wonderful hashtags on Instagram that will bring up lots of pictures for you if you want to do some research. So like hashtag head wrap, hashtag Turbanista, hashtag Rapunzelista, hashtag head wrap style, and many, many more. There's several excellent groups like Raptastic Off Topic, which is an inclusive, independent, non-faith specific group for women and / femmes who veil or cover. The Rapunzel fan group community, which has very strict rules, but it's a huge group of women who wrap and cover for various reasons and only discuss head wrapping. There's a scarf swap and sell, and there's lots more. So I hope that this has been informative and possibly helpful, and you're inspired or know a little bit more. Thanks.